Harry deLeyer is a name that might not ring a bell to a lot of folks, but you probably know his horse, especially if you're in the jumping world. See, Harry was the owner of the Great Snowman, a horse that's synonymous with rags to riches stories with horses. That horse's life is literally the thing Disney movies are made of. But nobody ever wants to talk about Harry deLeyer and his early life and how fascinating of a human being he was. So I will. Harry deLeyer was born in the Netherlands in 1927, and he grew up working on his family's farm. He would develop a love for riding at a really young age and started competing in equestrian events at the age of 7. In fact, he would eventually make it to the Dutch Junior National Equestrian Team as a young teen. However, though, deLeyer's life would take a dramatic turn when the Germans invaded the Netherlands in 1940. And like many patriotic Europeans during World War II, his father joined the resistance. Harry's father would turn their farm into a safe haven for the Dutch resistance, using a cellar dug out next to the barn and disguised under a pile of manure to hide Jews and down Allied airmen. Young Harry would join the underground movement during World War II himself and became actively involved with helping many Jews escape the Nazis through the Netherlands. At night, Harry would also ride out on horseback in search of wounded pilots who had parachuted out of their airplanes. His bravery and resourcefulness during that time made a significant impact on the lives of many people. One of those people would be a shot-down American pilot. One night while Harry was patrolling on his horse, he came across this downed airman, who happened to be mortally wounded. Harry would take this pilot back to the farm, where he would die just a few hours after being found. Harry would bury the pilot on the farm, but he would mail this pilot's dog tags back to his parents in North Carolina. Harry and his father would be an active part of the resistance until the end of the war. After the war, Harry would marry, but he was looking for a fresh start, and that fresh start would come by way of the parents of the pilot, whom he had mailed the dog tags to. In fact, in 1950, that pilot's parents would sponsor Harry and his wife to come live with them in the United States. He'd spent a couple of years working on their tobacco farm in North Carolina and showing horses on the weekend. He and his family would eventually, though, move to Long Island, New York in 1954, where he became a riding instructor at a girls' school. By 1956, deLeyer was running his own riding program. And like many of us in that business, we're always looking for lesson horses, at least good ones anyway. So deLeyer set off for an auction, except he arrived late. The auction was actually over, and the only thing he could look at were the unsold horses being loaded into a truck headed for a slaughterhouse. One of the horses was a large gray horse, which seemed pretty healthy and strong, and was an ex-plow horse. He had a gentle eye and a good demeanor, and he figured, well, this might be a good beginner horse. He offered $80 for the horse and bought the horse. Upon driving home, though, his young daughter would take a look at the gray and decide on a name. Snowman. Snowman was everything you would want in a beginner-safe training horse. But deLeyer really wanted more. So deLeyer actually agreed to sell the horse to a neighbor. And this is when an unexpected discovery was made. See, the horse would leave the neighbor's corral several times and make his way back to deLeyer's house. And the only way this horse could do that was jumping a series of high fences to get back to deLeyer's house. With the neighbor not being able to keep Snowman in, and deLeyer looking for a better horse, he decided to give old Snowman another shot and give him a new job, a jumper. After a couple of years of training, deLeyer would actually ride Snowman in a local competition, easily taking a blue ribbon in the jumper class. More shows, more blue ribbons, national shows, and national championships would come. At their first appearance in Madison Square Garden in 1958, Snowman deLeyer took the blue ribbon. Snowman was named Horse of the Year by the American Horse Shows Association, today known as the United States Equestrian Federation. Also the same year, he would win the Professional Horsemen's Association Championship. There's only been a handful of horses to win all three in the same year, and at the time, that was considered that sport's triple crown. Overnight, deLeyer and Snowman became a celebrity. They were household names. Snowman's rag to riches story from slaughterhouse rescue to jumper, and deLeyer from immigrant to living the American dream. A year later, deLeyer's Snowman would once again take a blue ribbon at Madison Square Garden. Also, again, Snowman was named Horse of the Year. deLeyer and Snowman traveled the world together. They delighted fans wherever they went. They appeared on numerous TV shows and were genuine celebrities. Harry deLeyer would continue to compete and perform exhibitions on Snowman, though less frequently as the horse aged. And in 1969, Snowman officially retired at Madison Square Garden to a standing ovation. Snowman would eventually die in 1974 of kidney failure, but Snowman was not the only horse that deLeyer continued to ride competitively. deLeyer would continue to compete even after Snowman's death. In fact, its fans called him the Galloping Grandfather. He was beloved as a fierce competitor and an eager showman, and in 1979 he returned to the National Horse Show at Madison Square Garden and once again took a blue ribbon in his class. Harry would eventually retire from the show ring, but he would continue to teach lessons and train horses, as that was where his heart was. He would eventually move to Virginia, where he owned a breeding farm. Harry would maintain an active and productive life up until his 90s and wouldn't pass away until 2021 at the age of 94.